looking at dream analysis from a psychological point of view. We are all walking around with an unbelievable subconscious that is holding every single memory and association that you have ever had since you're born.
Welcome to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld, and this program is about the expansion of our consciousness, and nothing talks to us more than dropping into yourself and looking at your dreams. And that's what we're going to be doing tonight with a Dreaminar, with my good friend Layne Dalfen, who's here from Canada, and we're going to be analyzing dreams and have a beautiful round table of friends to share the dream. Layne's site is called Have a Great Dream, because every dream is a great dream.
Every
right?
dream is a great dream.
Let me introduce, before we get to our dream, I'm going to introduce today's contestants. No, I got my good friend here, Layne Singer, who happened to be my voice teacher for quite a while, and she's just written a new book called Breaking into Brilliance.
Breaking into Brilliance.
Which is about everyone's creative genius. Anything you want to say about that, Layne?
It's unique in that it is interactive, I voiced it, and it's animated. And so I haven't found anything else like it on the internet. And it's exciting. It's for your creativity, an awakening of creative consciousness.
Great. Layne is also an acting coach, a voice coach, a teacher, a voiceover specialist. Anyway, we'll get back to you. I'm sitting right here next to my good friend Jess Mason, and Jess is an incredible entrepreneur. She has changed a hair salon called Marie Beauvais Salon into a healing salon. So what was your vision of turning a hair salon into a healing salon? Where did that come from?
It actually came from my own experience of getting off of the hamster wheel of New York City living, and I found myself with space to sort of explore my own being, and in this space that is the salon right now, I can recreate that experience for everyone who comes through the front door.
I also want to introduce my new good friend, brand new, pretty much, but we know each other for lifetimes, Chris Young. He's an incredible composer, engineer, creative genius. We're going to be collaborating on some things, and it just sort of fell in his lap, our connection.
That's true.
Actually, I'll tell that story. I was on a subway, I was standing, it was kind of crowded, the train stops, and I just fall, and I just, very embarrassing, land in Chris's lap, and it's like, oh my God,
this is how you met.
That has never happened to me before.
In our Halloween costumes.
In our Halloween costume. I was very embarrassed, and then, you know, I sit down, he goes, well, what you said...
I thanked him for not eating too much.
But you said, well, this must mean something, and then...
Yeah, I said, you're in entertainment, aren't you?
I guess this is
He said, well,
entertainment.
I'm a video producer. I said, I'm a music producer. So I said, what kind of videos do you make? And boy, he told me about what he did. I said, wow. And I couldn't wait to go home and Google what Alan was working on. He worked on all these really cool new subject matters.
And you're into it. So it was no coincidence that it just happened to fall in his lap. And I think, you know, we're collaborating a bunch of stuff.
Absolutely.
So thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Chris is going to share his dream today. But before we do that, we're going to talk to our expert dream analyst. Layne Dalfen, 45 years, right, of studying.
45 years studying dreams.
From all sorts of angles, Freudian, Jungian, Gestalt.
And Adler. And Alfred Adler, I also like him.
Yes, so you're going to run the Dreaminar right here. Do you want
That's
to
right. That's what I'm going to do.
A little more background about you?
Just to, well, I wrote, my book was called Dreams Do Come True, Decoding Your Dreams to Discover Your Full Potential, which came out some years ago, and now I'm actually renamed it Have a Great Dream. And I kept the subtitle Decoding Your Dreams to Discover Your Full Potential, because I still do feel that way, and I wanted it to match my site, haveagreatdream.com. So that's about to come out next week in ebook. So I'm very excited about that, and we're going to do a Dreaminar here.
Yes, tell us what a Dreaminar is.
So I'll just give you a small background to say that I use a psychological approach, even though I am a spiritual person, and I don't mind going into talk about that realm, but really, for the record, I'm looking at dream analysis from a psychological point of view, and all of us have, as unique as our fingerprint is, we are all walking around with an unbelievable subconscious that is holding every single memory and association that you have ever had since you're born. And so for those of us that are over 50, I call it a filing cabinet, and for those who are under, I call it a database. And so what happens is, dreaming is really just thinking for me, and there's not really a difference between the way you think in the day and the way you think at night. There's not a curtain that comes down when you go to sleep. And so the same way as you prioritize what you need to do when you wake up in the morning, who you have to call, who you have to email, your subconscious is also going to prioritize the one thing that's bothering you the most. And all of your dreams tonight, at the first level, the dream is always going to be about something that either happened to you yesterday or something that you thought about. And so what I do is I help the dreamer with a series of questions that I call points of entry, using the feelings, the symbols, puns, and play on words, the action, the plot, and rote, which is a repeat. Using those points of entry or puzzle pieces, I ask a series of questions that help, and which is what you're going to do today, but not in the form of a question. We're going to share from our own unique experience what that dreamer's dream would mean to you if you had it. What would be going on in your life today that would trigger that dream? And then we end up hearing from the dreamer after he has heard everybody's projections about what his dream might be about. Then we're going to hear from him what it really was about.
What's the purpose of us sharing our point of view? What is that about?
Because when we have a dream, often we don't know why the heck did I have that dream? And when you work in a group, it's a rich opportunity to hear from other people. It's called brainstorming. That's what it's called, really. But it's brainstorming in a dream work, metaphoric kind of way.
Because it might
helps the dreamer.
Right, it might trigger something in the
It might add to his interpretation.
Right, because he hears the projections, and from hearing everybody else's projection, he kind of starts clicking as you go around the circle. The dreamer starts getting an idea what the heck was going on.
It makes it richer, bigger.
That's right.
Great.
And the symbology certainly starts to come to the surface.
Good.
Right. Even though we're so unique, there's some similarities that we have, and it ends up showing.
So where do we start?
So
we're starting with the dream.
We're going to introduce Chris. Who's going to share a dream with us?
Okay.
Yeah, I had it. I guess this was I don't know, a couple weeks ago or whatever. I was in Woodstock, where I spent most of my childhood and coming of age. And I was just at a party with all my hippie brothers and sisters. It was summertime, and then I walked down to a field, and I see my friend Dan.
This is all in the dream.
Yeah, this is all in the dream.
Okay.
Dan passed away when I was 23, so I guess 15, 18.
But yet he shows up in your dream.
Yeah, very much alive. And you know how dreams are, so it's they're kind of like sitcoms where it's like first we're here and then we're somewhere.
You faded into another
so
scene.
Cool, right?
Cut into another scene.
And I'm having Chinese food with him and my grandfather.
And your grandfather.
And my grandfather,
so we have Dan,
who I lost.
Chinese food, Woodstock, and your grandfather.
And your grandfather's alive or dead?
My grandfather passed away about 15 years ago.
Can I just ask you, were you surprised to see Dan or not surprised?
Yeah, I was really I mean, but kind of like not. Yeah, you're right. Like not really that surprised.
Okay,
Actually, now that I think about it, because it wasn't the issue.
Right. Okay.
It wasn't an issue until I'm sitting there across from the both of them, and I know I spoke with my grandfather, and I can't remember. I can't remember.
Did you love your grandfather?
Oh yeah.
And you're eating Chinese food. Okay.
Right.
With Dan and your grandfather.
Right. Yeah, I was very close to my grandfather. So. Dan looks at me and I said, "But Dan, you're dead." And he says back to me, "Yeah, but Chris, how did I ever really die?" And then I woke up. But it was
How
it was
did
a very,
I ever really die?
Yeah. But Chris, how did I ever really die? I said.
Okay.
He honestly looked puzzled, and he hadn't changed in 20 years.
He looked puzzled when he asked
Yeah,
you
he
that.
was like, yeah, but how did I ever really?
Is that the whole dream?
And that was it.
Well, I'll begin. I'll just, because already some things, and I'm going to go with rote. What rote is, when we were in school, read it, write it, recite it. Read it, write it, recite it. And we repeat, and that's how we learn. The dreams repeat, and it might give you things which you're about to find out that seem like they're completely different, but once you decode them, you realize that we're saying the same thing. So
there's 6 points of entry if we just want to review
Sure,
that.
of course, why not?
The
Go for
rote,
it.
which you just described, the plot, I guess the storyline, eating food, being in Woodstock, eating food. Symbols, what do these things mean?
Who is Dan?
Yeah.
Who did you like your grandfather?
People can be symbolic
people,
of
places, and things.
And then there's a play on words which are puns. Maybe it's not Chinese, but maybe Chinese. I don't know what the pun there would be. But
Well, I already saw a pun.
What was the pun for the Chinese that you saw?
Well, it wasn't about the Chinese. It was that you talked about a field, and one of the things I was going to say, that if this was my dream, I would be looking at what field I'm in, and am I satisfied with, if it would have something to do, if there was a play on words there, that's what I'd be
let's go
looking
around,
about.
and then 2 more points of entry are actions and feelings. So,
Right.
So should we go around, tell if this was my dream? What you
so I'm just going to say the rote that I see. If this was my dream, I would already, because we understand that, again, at the first level, the dream is about something that I either thought about yesterday or something that happened to me yesterday. It's a current issue in my life that I'm attempting to problem solve or to come to some conclusion about. So for me, the situation today would be with somebody, maybe, I'd be looking at this, maybe somebody from my past.
For Chris, you're saying?
Yes, right.
Someone in
I'm
his
saying
past.
it would be about somebody from my past,
If you had this dream.
if I had this dream, and I'll tell you why. Because Dan is from my past, Woodstock is from my past, my grandfather is from my past. So there's lots of stuff going on. It's saying past, past, past. So I would be thinking about, is this situation about somebody who's in my current life who I also know from my past? I don't know if it's family or friends, because there's both family and friends in the dream. So it's not pointing me necessarily to either friends or family.
So if it was yours,
If it were my dream, I would be saying, okay, I haven't been in Woodstock in a long time. Sue Mingus and Charles, that I knew, had a house up there. So why am I dreaming about Charles, maybe? So why is Dan here? Who's Dan? The dream to me felt very deep and very connected to other worlds and other things.
So I think I hear you saying that if you had this particular dream, because there's people who are dead in it, you're saying that you would be looking at some kind of spiritual experience that you're having in your waking life today.
Well, but it's connected to somebody who is very much alive and in Israel, in a Jewish state. And so the book has a lot of things about spirit in it. So it's connected. Yes, it's
so if you had
definitely
this
connected.
dream for you, it would be about that.
It would be about
about
that.
that.
It definitely would
Excellent.
be about that.
Okay.
Yeah, if I had this dream, there's a definite feeling of familiarity. And so in my waking state, after coming from this dream, I mean, just that feeling of, that visceral feeling of closeness.
Nice.
You'd feel close. That would
Yeah.
be that. So she's using a feeling points of entry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just
Because you're with
People from my past.
people from
that
your
I know.
past.
that
Excellent.
that you like? That you
Right.
like.
Right.
Do you like Chinese food or not? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I guess I did.
You do.
Sure.
Well, I can't help but being influenced by what other people have said, in this.
Well,
That's okay.
Chinese food too used to be something that I do with my grandfather. So like my earliest recollection of Chinese food was when my grandfather took me to to a mall that doesn't even exist anymore in Middletown, New York.
But I think the key to this dream is that last line that Dan said. What is that line again?
How did...
Yeah, Chris, how did I ever really die?
Yes.
I think, and it's partly what you said, that there's something about your past.
No, there's something about your past, you mean.
So if this was my dream, sorry. If this was my dream, I would be thinking, there's something in my past that maybe I've forgotten or haven't been playing with or haven't even been enjoying so much. So it'd be like reminding me of people from my past and people I really liked hanging out with and things I'd like to do that maybe were missing in my life. And how did that really die? How did those things that were missing
Or are they
vanish?
still alive?
I love that.
That's,
They're still alive.
That's what it means to me, if that was my dream.
I connect with that also.
Oh, thank you.
I do.
Forget about him. Well, that's what it means.
I think that was great.
No,
and I'll just tie that up by saying also that I'd be thinking to myself, is it something that am I stuck in the past or something, there's definitely some kind of link for me about the past and this because Carl Jung said, and actually all the fathers of psychology finally agreed at least about one thing, and that was that all the parts of the dream represent different parts of your psyche. You are the director, you're the producer, you're all the actors. And so you typically,
own film is going on.
Typically the ego takes the part in the dream, you take the part in the dream that you feel the most comfortable with or connected to, and you give out all the other parts of the dream to different parts of yourself, different parts of your psyche. And so my grandfather, he would be the part of myself that's always giving something sweet to myself because he owned a little shop and I used to go there and he used to give me ice cream after school because I would go there. So there's always something sweet coming from my grandfather and he would represent that part of me. And my Woodstock friends, I mean, you're younger than me, you don't want to know what my Woodstock friends represent. No, but I just mean to say that it's from a time in my life where, you know, so, you know, you take the place and connect it to, like for me, Woodstock, I was a little bit too young to go, but I wanted to, and it's not, so I'd be looking at what's going on in my life right now where there's something that I'm not really allowed to do, something I want to do that I don't feel I'm allowed. If it was my dream. Of course, it's not going to be the same. He was like a kid, and he lived there, and I didn't live there. It was somewhere I wanted to go. But I just mean, I'd be looking at what part of me that is like Dan seems to have died. And I want to be, I'm questioning, how did I ever really die? Anyway, how did that part of me ever really die?
So is any of this helpful, Chris? I mean, what should we ask Chris now?
Now we're going back to Chris.
If this was your dream, and it was.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess, like, you know, I grew up in upstate New York, and now I live in Midtown Manhattan, and you know, those types of realities shifting. You know, talking about a new reality, right? The situation though was, you know, now 20 years later, you know, making a living in music and in art and entertainment, fashion. I got to do all these things that. You know, I definitely wasn't on target for in my earlier years, growing up in the country and, you know, Middletown, New York, and Woodstock. So Woodstock represented to me a place of, you know, acceptance and toleration. You know, where creative ideas could grow, and it's where I was discovered. And
as a composer, an engineer.
Yeah, I'm a music producer and writer, right? So, you know, my ex-wife was a singer for the Crystal Method, and that was my favorite group at the time. And then I started making music with her, which led to a deal that I got with EMI, and you know, that was more than enough to, you know, establish, you know, a new life in New York.
But there's something about your past, though.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing now. Well, now it's 20 years later, right? So, and I've lived my life in a true dichotomy. You know, city mouse and country mouse in the same person, right? And you know, I guess, you know, and reflecting in that, you know, I wonder what parts of myself I've left behind.
And is this something that specifically that you've been, like, can you name, if you can name a specific situation in the last 2 weeks that is present in your life right now, then we can look back in the dream and find the prize.
Well, you know, I'm working on a project right now that I am honestly working on with 100% of me, right? But to the best of my ability, truly, you know, for the sake of it, you know, for the sake of, you know, applying everything I've ever learned and everything I've ever been in a single masterpiece, right? It's a secret project, but. Finding out who I am, and researching, you know, who I was before I came to New York, my childhood. I mean, things I really haven't thought about in years. When you come to New York, you hit the ground running, and you know,
so things never die. That's what I keep hearing.
That's it.
Things, nothing ever dies.
Right.
But his dream is what do you think his dream is telling him about his life?
I'm still kind of interested to hear the conflict. Because that's what triggers a dream, is some kind of issue that,
you know, and I think that we can apply this in the media that we see every day. There is a difference in a metropolitan mindset and in a rural mindset. There is. They both live equally in me.
Right, good. And
so
can
they
you
fight
think
with
of
each other just like you watch on TV.
Specific,
you know? So I've got a little blue and a little red.
Could you think of some a specific situation with a friend or?
I mean,
maybe I'm just only saying friends because
all
the friends.
Of innocence that.
No, but well, that could, yes, of course, that could be, but that's kind of, now you're kind of going out deeper,
right?
And it's better before you go out deeper to see if you can connect to something specific. Like maybe an incident or something that happens with
it's always
a
an
friend
incident that triggers the dream.
That triggers something happens that triggers the dream.
I mean, I think that it's really
this project.
This project is a.
But what happened in the last
project.
couple of days on this project?
Yeah, it was really me having to pull from new resources and re-examine the material that I'm working on.
Excellent.
From younger eyes.
Oh,
that's the conflict. Is that the conflict?
Now see, now that's fitting
younger
better.
Eyes, like 23
younger eyes.
Or, yes.
With Dan's giving
with the more your rural, your more rural self, I
and
guess.
also the elder. So it's the meeting of the younger and your grandfather, the older part. Right. So the older part of you is seeing the younger.
Even older, the wisdom part of you.
Yeah.
Right, but of course you realize that, because I always want to remind people that what I hear you saying is that when you're in a similar kind of situation where you're choosing which road to take, that you are connected to your older self and your younger self, and that there's a meeting there, because that's not necessarily what it is
for him.
For Chris.
To resolve it now for Chris, what do we need to do?
That's right.
Okay,
that's
go ahead. Tell us.
Well, I love what you said, but before I even go there, I just want to double check in with you. And so, do you think you caught the dream when you said, like, I thought it was cool the way you, once you nailed more specifically that you're looking at your project, you're trying to look at your project through younger eyes, with another view.
Well, yeah, sure, and I'm not sure if it's about resolution, though. For me, at least, I appreciate the state of it being right. So something I've always wondered about reality. Maybe you guys can answer that. When I dream at night, I'm still me.
That's right.
The experience is the craziest thing when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sit here in front of you guys listening to my dream being analyzed. And it's funny because you don't usually put that out to the jury, you know. And I see what it could mean, and I know some of you well.
Was it helpful?
Yeah, it was actually a beautiful experience. I think that people should do this all the time, because for me it's really just the discussion in the first place that we're giving any attention to the fact that we're dreaming and we can share this with each other, because it's a really great way to share of ourselves.
And the other thing is then you take it from, once you take it from the inside, which is
beautiful
where
experience.
you're having the
Yeah.
discussion with yourself. Once
Absolutely.
you take it out into waking life, now it's called brainstorming.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
And then
And
you-
Because
giving
now
us
you're
more
getting an
insights
idea
into
of
ourselves.
what this lovely lady just
Lynn.
presented about this idea of a coming together of the old self, the old more knowledgeable self, and the younger side, and bringing them together. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Well, that's a part of breaking into brilliance.
Right.
I feel that that's when we really start
Right.
to own all of ourselves, you know, without fear.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to add to what you said, Chris, is that bringing it out also helps it. Nightmares, you know, nightmares are like really calls to action to me. They're really demanding something be done. But when you talk to people about them, you get all this other information. This isn't a nightmare, but if it were, it helps to release the fear. It helps to put you on the road. Helps me.
Adler talked as opposed to Freud, who was looking into the past. Adler was more future-oriented, and he would talk about the dream giving rise to an emotion that helps you move forward towards the goal.
Beautiful.
And when I am asking myself what part of myself is dying or what part of myself is dead, sometimes I ask myself that question because I need to be more playful. And maybe I get that dream like that when I'm working too hard. And it's because I need to connect with my younger, more Woodstock childhood, freedom, no rescibility. Sometimes we get so caught up in the work
you were saying
day,
that, I think
and
but for me, it's an inner struggle of values. And you know, when you know, it's been a beautiful existence. I'm glad to have experienced life on both sides of the tracks, I guess.
Right.
But now that I've gotten older, I don't care what side of the tracks I'm on. I look at my life as beautiful and whole, right? But I'm trying to make sense of the whole journey, and it's very much when you cross that river to live in this island. It's like, that's a far out thing, and to look back on it after not really thinking about it for 20 years. It's
and you've been thinking about it lately, I guess.
I have, because I've been making music that reminds me of being younger.
Great.
Excellent.
So
Beautiful.
dreams.
Okay, so now I feel like you caught your dream.
There,
Now you got
So
me.
to wrap it up, because we should wrap this session up, because dreams are always about an internal conflict that the dream manifests to work out. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but you're also saying, you just answered, how did I ever really die? But you just answered the question. You didn't. You just said, I'm still here. It's still me when I'm dreaming. It's still me when I'm awake. It's still me when that Woodstock part of me, and it's still me who's working on this new project on this island.
Yes.
And so,
I do make my music to deal with my mortality. I make my art.
That's
so
nice.
I leave a positive
and you might take some time to go out a little bit and
maybe I should
find
get out more.
play.
I've
Let's
heard
go
that before
out,
as well.
play,
We'll have some Chinese food.
That sounds good. We're going out for Chinese now.
What does the Chinese food mean? I guess.
I don't know. What does the
something you
Chinese
We're going
food
to talk about over some kung pao.
Anyway, thank you, Layne.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
That
For
really
people that
did.
share a dream.
That's wonderful.
That's great.
There's a tribe in Africa where people act out their dreams every morning, right?
I love that.
Fabulous.
Well, I'll just say goodbye to my good friends and everyone. Layne Singer, Breaking into Brilliance. What's your website?
Lynne-Singer.com and BreakingIntoBrilliance.com.
And come by Marie Beauvais Salon.
We host conscious events.
Which we're going to do one at.
Yes, you
we
will.
can do one on
meditation,
creativity.
sound baths. It's just a really wonderful community space, and you're all welcome.
And how can people find you, the dreamer, Chris?
I'm not working anymore. I'm retired, so
Okay.
I'm making my what I think will be the final opus, and I'm done. But my name's Chris Young, and I really enjoyed being here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your dream. And, of course, Layne Dalfen, our dream expert. Have a great dream, because every dream's a great dream.
Every dream's a great dream.
What else you want to say about Dreaminar? You do this online for people?
I do Dreaminars online at haveagreatdream.com. You can do them one-on-one, individual, and the Dreaminars are free of charge. And of course, there's space if you want a private consultation as well. But there's even a free 5-day course, a mini course in dream analysis. That's also for free.
That's for free?
Yep.
Why for free?
Why not?
She gets you because
I
you really
really
love
Be
this
back
stuff.
for
And
more.
Yeah,
That's right.
well, yeah, or you buy the book.
Perfect.
There you go.
I'm Alan Steinfeld. Thanks for watching. Go to my website.
New realities.
New Realities.
New realities.
NewRealities.com.